IP router OSPF, then A area 0. That's it. And then let's go to the switch 2 in the NXOS2, and also in switch 1 we can configure OSPF on the loopback 0, interface loopback 0, IP router OSPF A area 0. Let's go to the NXOS2 interface VLAN 1. First we should enable the feature OSPF, and then on the interface VLAN 1 IP router OSPF A. Okay, first we should enable process router OSPF A. Okay, then on the interface VLAN 1 I'm using IP router OSPF A area 0. Also in the interface loopback 0, IP router OSPF A area 0. Let's check the neighborship between switch 1 and switch 2. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Now show us that we have neighborship between the router 1 and also router 2. Also, if you want, you can check show IP root OSPF, and this is obvious that we receive quad 2/32 with the NXOS2. Okay, quad 2/32 now is received from the NXOS2. Very good. This is the first step. You know that in this scenario I didn't use the authentication until now. Because of that, if you check the OSPF on the interface, show IP OSPF interface VLAN 1, okay, we don't have any type of authentication, no authentication. This is the type 0 of the authentication. We call it null authentication or no authentication. Very good. Let me to capture the ETH11 for the next steps, because I'm going to configure the type 1 authentication on the interface VLAN 1. First, starting from the NXOS1, on the interface VLAN 1, I'm using this command IP OSPF authentication, and then IP OSPF authentication key. Okay, for example, Cisco. This is the keyword of the authentication. After some second we lose the authentication, show IP, we lose the neighborship, show IP OSPF neighbor. Now after some second we should wait for the dead time, and after the dead time we lose the for example neighborship between the router 1 and router 2. Until that time we can check the capture. Look at here, this is the capture of OSPF. This is the hello of the OSPF from hello packet of OSPF from router 1. Look at here, in the router 1's packet OSPF header we can see the password, and this means that this password is not strong and it's so weak and can be broken. Okay, now show IP OSPF neighbor, show us that we don't have neighborship. Let me to configure OSPF authentication clear text type 1 in the switch 2 interface VLAN 1, then IP OSPF authentication, and then IP OSPF authentication key, for example Cisco. Now we will have neighborship again, show IP OSPF neighbor. After some second we will have neighborship, but this neighborship is secured with a weak method of authentication, and because of that we shouldn't use the type 1 or clear text type of authentication. Look at here, show IP OSPF interface VLAN 1 show us that we are using the simple authentication. Simple authentication means the authentication clear text and type 1, and this is not a good method. Let me to remove this type of authentication and going to the to type 2 of authentication from in the switch 1 on the interface VLAN 1. I'm going to use the no IP OSPF authentication key, and then no IP OSPF authentication. No IP OSPF authentication. Okay, let's go to the switch 2 again, no IP OSPF authentication key Cisco, and after that no IP OSPF authentication. That's it. Okay, let me check the neighborship. Now we should have neighborship with clear text without authentication type 0. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Yes, we have neighborship. Show IP OSPF interface VLAN 1 show us that we don't have authentication. Very good. Let's go to the type 2 of the authentication. In the NX, in the switch 1, I'm using this command IP OSPF, okay, authentication message digest. Again, IP OSPF authentication message IP OSPF message digest key, okay, key ID 1, MD5, for example, Cisco 1. Look at, I'm going to configure two key. The first is key 1 and the second is IP OSPF message digest key 2, MD5, for example, Cisco 2. The first is Cisco 1, the second is Cisco 2. Look at here, show IP OSPF neighbor. After some second we won't have neighborship, but show IP OSPF interface VLAN 1 show us that we are using the key 2 for the MD5 authentication. Why? Because the youngest key is used, and this means that the key that configured after the other keys. Very good. Let's go to the NXOS2 now. Maybe we don't have neighborship. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Yes, we don't have neighborship. Let's go to the NXOS2 interface VLAN 1 IP OSPF authentication message digest. IP OSPF message digest key 1 MD5 Cisco 1. Then IP OSPF message digest key 2 MD5 Cisco 2. That's it. Let's check the neighborship. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Now we have neighborship. After some second, the state should be changed from the initialized to the full. Okay, very good. And after that, we can check the, for example, OSPF hello packets. This is the OSPF packets. And as you can see here, we can't see the key. And this means that the authentication type is type 2. And this is the cryptographic authentication. And this is the good method for us. But if you want, you can use the newest method, the keychain method, and you can use the keychain with some features. For example, you can configure send lifetime, accept lifetime, and some other features. First, let me to remove all of the commands in all of the authentication commands in this NXOS1 and also NXOS2. No. IP OSPF message digest key, for example, 1 MD5 Cisco 1, then 2 Cisco 2, and then no IP OSPF, for example, authentication message digest. Okay, no IP OSPF authentication message digest. Let me check. Show run interface VLAN 1. Now we don't have authentication on this interface. Let's go to the switch 2. Here, the first command, no IP OSPF message digest key 2 MD5 Cisco 2 and message digest and 1 MD5 Cisco 1, no. Then no IP OSPF authentication message digest. Show run interface VLAN 1. Very good. Let's configure the keychain first. We should configure the keychain. Keychain configuration is same as the keychain configuration for many other features, for example, EIGRP or some other things. Keychain A, key 1, and then the key string is, for example, Arash, my name. And after that, in the NXOS2, again, I'm going to configure the keychain, for example, the name of keychain is not important. The key ID and key string is important. Key 1 and then key string, again, Arash. Let me to use this keychain in the switch 1 interface VLAN 1. IP OSPF authentication keychain. Okay, authentication keychain. And then we should use the keychain name. The keychain name is A. After that, in NXOS2, interface VLAN 1, IP OSPF authentication keychain. Okay, IP OSPF authentication keychain. After that, the name of keychain A. Let me check the neighborship between these two routers. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Okay, we have neighborship. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Let me check the, for example, show IP OSPF interface in the NXOS1. Show IP OSPF interface VLAN 1. Look at here, we don't have authentication. After some second, because we didn't enable the message digest and the keychain now doesn't work. Let me to show you. Look at here. Show run interface VLAN 1. Show run interface VLAN 1. We configured the IP OSPF authentication keychain. It's okay. But we didn't configure the first command, IP OSPF authentication message digest. You can configure with for the message digest